Running can be one of the most amazing things in the world. Even on your worst day, running can be there for you. You can get out the door, lace up those shoes. Doesn't matter how fast you go, you just get to get out of your own head almost, or get out of any type of stressful situation that you find yourself in, and just calm down. You get some of the best moments in life after these nice periods of training where you've done all the hard work, and then you get the race day and you get to go out there and express yourself in whatever way it is, and you get to achieve something that perhaps you never thought you were possible, or you never thought you personally could ever achieve. But running isn't always straightforward, and if you've been a runner long enough, well, then you'll understand that injuries can be the biggest problem that you face in that journey to trying to, reach that max potential. And that brings me to today's video, which is all about preventing injuries, when you get injured, knowing exactly what to do to hopefully get you back out the door running again. Today's video is sponsored by a company called Exact Health. They have an app. That app is built to help runners not only come back from injury when you get an injury, but also the free side of the app is the injury prevention, what's known as prehab. So rehab is when you've picked up an injury and you start to rehab yourself back to full training or getting out the door running again. Prehab, that plays a role before rehab, in that if you actually follow some of the instructions in the app and you work on your strength and you work on your flexibility and perhaps you start working on the biomechanics, you can then hopefully not get injured, which means you never have to move to the rehab part of the process. I personally believe that there's a huge lack of knowledge surrounding injuries. And I also believe that physio and massage, it's not always easily accessible due to time constraints or perhaps financial constraints. So Exact Health, they got in touch with me. I had a look at the app and I thought, I think this is a situation or scenario or a company that I really was happy to push and show my audience. So this is a paid review of the app, but I don't make any money if you go and sign up to the app. I don't like that business model, because then my enthusiasm for the app or my positive things to say will be a marketing play to get you to sign up to the app. There is also free parts to this app, which I also think is very important. Let me talk to you about injury first. Most people, when they get injured, including myself, I've had some terrible experiences with injuries. I do enough gym work, enough flexibility work. I'm knowledgeable enough about my body that I strengthen the right areas to make sure I don't get injuries, you could say, now. I often thought it was a laziness, that if I felt something a little bit sore, I was always more than happy to not run that evening. Some of it's a bit of a laziness, a lot of it is intelligence, because injury can be the worst thing that can possibly happen to you. When I would overtrain and I would pick up a bit of an injury, my first sort of protocol was to foam roll, go for massage, beat the body down a little bit more, roll that area out, and then I'd go run again and think, awesome, it's fixed, and then the next day it would be worse. So I think a lot of runners struggle with knowledge of what to do when you pick up an injury, and it's not just foam roll, ice pack. That's not going to get the job done. So I've been a professional for probably 15 years, 10 to 15 years now, and you learn most injuries, and I'm talking probably 90% of injuries, are coming down to a lack of strength in the muscle, or the muscle that's breaking down, or the area that's breaking down. There might be strength there, but you're not able to use that strength because of perhaps a coordination issue, or one part of the body is stronger than the other, and so it's compensating. But 9 times out of 10, it comes down to a strength-related problem and not biomechanics, for example. So you're going to have strength-related injuries. You're going to have injuries where you're very unlucky and you step off a curb and you roll your ankle, or on the run, you trip, you fall, you injure something. And then you're going to have injuries that can be biomechanical. So that means that you're running in a way that doesn't allow you to, maybe you're loading one part of the body more than another. So for example, if you run in a way where your right leg leans for whatever reason more to the right, well, you might end up picking up injuries on the right side, or you might pick up injuries on the left side because of some form of compensation that the body is trying, but there's a biomechanical problem, and so you're loading one side of the body more than the other. The root cause of a lot of these issues is strength. So basically there's a requirement to, if you want to race and you want to run and you want to get better, there's a requirement to run and train more, right? That's fairly simple to follow. The more you can run, the more you can train. If you have the time, the better you'll get at running. The problem is that you want to run more than your body's currently capable of handling. Why? The reason your body's only capable of handling a certain amount is because you're not strong enough in certain areas to handle more. So if you keep picking up perhaps a calf injury, if you keep picking up perhaps a knee injury, it could be that your calf isn't strong enough, it could be that your glutes aren't functioning, or it could be that your quads aren't strong enough. So what happens when they're not strong enough? You run, you load them, you overload them, they get tired, they get tight, they start pulling on other areas of the body, or other muscles have to compensate and do their job for them, which leads to injury. That was a big old story. Where Exact Health comes into this is that if 5-10 years ago I had access to something like Exact Health, well, then what I could have done is learned that, okay, the first thing to do when I pick up perhaps a knee injury or calf injury is not to foam roll, is not to do this. And they guide you through this process of what should you do when you pick up a certain injury or when you feel something that shouldn't feel the way it feels. That is so important because you're guided with video, with knowledge from, medical professionals. You're guided in a way that gets you back running as quickly as possible. The other part of injury can be the psychological aspect of it. Becomes really, depressing, frustrating. Anger can come in because all you want to do is get out the door and run again, and suddenly you've got this injury and it frustrates you. I remember watching a video with a sports psychiatrist called Dr. Steve Peters. He was talking to part of Team Sky, the cycling team, and one of the athletes was frustrated. He asked him what his happiness was on a scale of 1 to 10. That athlete said, I think 6 or 7. Why is it 6 or 7 and not 10? Well, I've been dealing with that knee injury. And the next part of the story was the sports psychiatrist saying, well, if you think about this logically, if you're doing everything you can to get yourself back cycling, that shouldn't be preventing you from being a 10. And so this app, if you have a look and you check out the rehab stuff, or perhaps you've got an injury and you'd like to actually move right into not just preventing injuries, but also getting yourself back from your current injury, when you check it out, you'll realize that yes, you'll still be frustrated that you can't go out the door running. Yes, you still might be frustrated that you can't do your training for that next big race. But at the very least, you're doing the right stuff, backed by experts in their field, and you're doing everything you can to get yourself back, training, racing, doing all those things that you love most. The app already has lots of injuries on there, common injuries with runners. You're looking at plantar fasciitis, whether it's calf problems, knee problems, back problems. Go check it out. It also has a place where you could submit if you do have an injury. And then it also has lots of video help, written help, support on, like I talked about, trying to get into a routine of what's known as rehab or pre-run activation and this kind of stuff. And you're strengthening the parts of your body to then be able to handle the training that you need to do to achieve your next result. Why this is so important is because training, in my opinion, is not optional. If you want to achieve some big goals in running, if you simply want to be able to run for 60 minutes without having pain or without having pain the next day, well then training is almost like a prescription to be able to achieve that. So you need to start eliminating what it is that's holding you back from being able to do that run. And that might be some calf problems, quad problems, knee problems, glute problems, back problems. That's where the prehab, the preconditioning stuff comes in, that you start taking control of strengthening those areas of your body, and only you know personally which parts of your body struggle. Start taking control of that, and then you can probably run a lot more than currently, and you'll be able to stay healthy, not break down, and move forward. So check out the link in the description. Start knowing what you should do to help you get back from injury. Stop winging it. Some things you might have to go to a physio, you might have to see a sports practitioner, a massage, but I think this app and services like this with video support is going to help you immediately after you pick up a problem, which hopefully will get you back out the door running quicker than you otherwise would have. And then also it might take that psychological distress away, that you at least know that you're doing everything you can. So check it out. I hope you really enjoy it, and take care.